And you kind of wanted to know what it was about, so you looked up what its story was, when maintenance got done, what improvements were made to it, what things were to do with it. The reason why we kind of do these things is because it has to do with our health and our well-being and the health of our community and families and whatnot, right? So what about our food? Our food is something that is part of our culture, and it's something that we take a part of. And with that, do we really know where our food is coming from? Like what the source is? So this is a food system element right here. It pretty much says where your food started and then how it ended up pretty much on your table back to the regrowth of it, right? So do we really know sometimes, like, where our food came from? Question is, the answer comes to that is no, not always. Our food system is pretty broken. There's a big distance or gap between the producer and the consumer. And with that, it's Hawaii's kind of moved away from being self-efficient, self-sustainable, and long gone are the days of these indigenous agriculture practices that was able to sustain a population nearly equal to ours in the islands. So that was kind of like a step back in things. But last year, the state took a step forward and introduced Senate Bill 3095, and Act 45 of it. This pretty much required that restricted use pesticides had to be logged every time they're applied by certified applicators. Now, with that, it was the HDOA, which is the Department of Agriculture, their job to take that information and disclose parts of it without compromising privacy issues and whatnot to the public, right? Based on public health and public concern, and for other environmental factors as well. It got outdated right now in the process that they're writing it down on pen and paper, and they're scanning it and emailing it, or they're mailing it. Now, about you, after a long day's work in the farm or being outside, the last thing I want to do is write something on pen and paper, right? So that's why I'm kind of pitching this Mahi application. So it's a mobile web app portal, right, that in its simplest form is a form that, to the certified applicator's convenience, will be able to track and log their pesticide use, and then they'll just send it to the DOA, all digitally, all electronically. The HDOA can take that, they'll survey the data, and they'll disclose to the public as required by law now. So this is essentially streamlining that process, and it tells the story of our land and our food source. So with that being said, it's kind of our time and our chance to be that change that we want to see and move towards sustainability and agricultural sustainable practices and whatnot, which means reducing pesticide use. So the first step in that would be data aggregation. We kind of need that data to be able to track and then be able to make that kind of legislative change, right? And then to lead to our sustainable development goals and other sustainable goals that we're looking into. Your support will not only help tell the story of our food and our land, but it'll kind of help bridge the gap between the food producer and the food consumer, because we're kind of sourcing, we can see what's being applied to our produce and what's being applied to the food that we consume. It also kind of helps bridge that disconnect between the private agriculture businesses and then the public governance sector as well. So in a way, this is kind of helping out. And then, like I said, in the long term, kind of want legislation to kick in and reduce pesticide use with that. So I firmly believe that along with this Polynesian cultural symbiosis of land and health and people, that the health of our land is really in relationship to the health of the people. Thank you.
Questions?
So this is a pretty cool idea. So the app itself, does it have to be connected to the internet? I'm just thinking about like places where, especially if they're out in land, like where they might not have access to the internet, so you would probably sync when they do get back, right?
Yes.
How does that work?
So it'd be offline version, right? And then on the mobile part, and it would just sync online, and they'll be able to submit it as they so choose as well. So.
When someone sees what's being sprayed,
what do they do? What happens when they know this? Do they just decide not to eat anything from there? Or how is their fear now mitigated by knowing how bad it is?
That's the problem. There's no disclosure. It's so, we don't know what's going on. And when I mean we, I mean like the only people that know are the people that these agribusinesses and seed companies, and I'm not sure if you guys are aware of the.
That's my problem. I know it now because you've given me access to the information. Now what do I do with it? How do I turn it into something that keeps me away from a certain food? Like, do you tie which farms are producing in the area that's been sprayed? You know, I'm looking for more usable data.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you can basically source you can see where your food's coming from. So some of these guys and some of these farmers, yeah, they might be offering the cheapest product out there, but now you know, wow, a lot of stuff got dumped into this land, a lot of, you know, GMOs or whatever stuff got put into this, and then you got farmer or farm company over here that's being a little more natural, doing indigenous agriculture practices and doing that. And yeah, they might have to charge a little bit more, and they're putting in a lot more work for it, but you, the consumer, can make that choice based on this
Your app
information.
isn't going to give me that information, correct?
No, it'd be the governance model. It's the beginning, yes.
Collecting data and making it accessible, but the translation to make it usable to the general public. So it's really a kind of a professional industry based around pesticide and the farm. And that's the beneficiary of the knowledge. You know what's being sprayed in your area. So I'm trying to just translate it to a larger use.
Okay, yeah, so it's taking this data, and just like how you can look up your Carfax, right, to see stuff like that, it's going to be the same concept but with your food. Now, with this app, because there's a bunch of laws and bylaws to go through, I couldn't just disclose it to the public, so that would be the job of the Hawaii Department of Agriculture to disclose according to law. Did that kind of answer the question? Or?
I'm still thinking it through, how we, the general public, and again, who's your audience for this information, is once you have it, you know a pesticide is being used in a certain area, unless you know what farms are there, how the product's getting distributed, you can't translate it into usable data. Usable, actionable, that's what I'm looking for. Just, it doesn't turn into, other than knowledge, I now know that all the tomatoes I'm eating are sprayed. Mm-hmm. So does that mean, I'm just, that's what I'm trying to figure out. A little more next.
Yeah, I think if I went to Foodland down the street and I got tomatoes from there, I wouldn't know where those tomatoes came from, right? So I'm thinking maybe that this isn't really for me because I wouldn't know where to look on here for those tomatoes.
Unless you loaded all the farms' locations.
Right.
And what they produce.
Then it would have a sign at Foodland telling me where it came from.
That'd be like in the big picture too, yeah. I think, in order to be able to translate that and communicate that message, you need the data for it.
So how did this idea come to you?
This actually came because I was kind of looking into pesticide research and just the effects of soil quality and how badly concentrated Hawaii is and how much testing and stuff is being done. And I was just like, wow. And then I heard that the Hawaii Department of Agriculture was kind of like facing the same issue, looking for problems. So got my ears going, and then I just kind of like.
So is your background ag or is it coding?
More like coding or programming, if I have to choose one. Yeah, I'm not very knowledgeable about ag.
So it's government compliance. That's really what you're hitting. You're getting that alignment of.
Yep. And I'm trying to streamline that process because it's so outdated right now. I mean,
got it.
Going from scribbling on pen and paper to being done.
Yeah.
I just save time, money, and trees and soil.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Just take the last minute.